I mean, one little line on our scale represents a change of roughly 0.02 millimeters, so that's very little. But a professional double bass player notices that difference. Maybe he doesn't hear a difference, but he feels a difference on the bow. And of course, since you're leaning on the instrument, you even people tell us I can feel that it resonates differently. So he was surprised that this little change meant so much.
People are talking all across the globe about carbon fiber Soundposts and the effects that they have. It's a hot topic for sure, and I've had the chance a few times in 2018 to see Pal Molnar and his father and the Anima Nova crew installing these Soundposts in instruments and adjusting them and the sonic differences that result. I'm Jason Heath. This is Contrabass Conversations, and we are talking today with Pal Molnar of Anima Nova. This is a quick conversation about these Soundposts. Definitely go to their website and learn more, but you really want to find carbon fiber Soundpost in person and get it into your bass and experiment if you're curious, because there's really nothing like the hands-on experience and the auditory experience and the tactile experience of the instrument in your hands as these adjustments are being made. This is a quick one, so we're just going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Thank you so much to D'Addario Strings, Upton Bass, Kolstein, and A440 for keeping the lights on and making it possible for me to go to events like this and chat with people like Paul. Really hope you enjoyed this conversation with Pal Molnar, and definitely check out their website for more information. Your father, just tell me that we could start with just the story of Anima Nova. Like, what is this carbon fiber Soundpost? How did this come to be? Just tell me a little bit about the background of this.
Yeah, sure. Well, my father's the one who spent 5 years of his life researching and engineering, and he had this idea about 20 years ago when he was getting deeper and deeper into luthery. He was a director of a public music school, taking care of the music instruments because there was no luthier in town. So he did small things, got more interested and learned more. And as he got better, professional musicians came to him for sound adjustments. And then that's when he got involved with the Soundpost, and he thought, there's got to be something that should make it more, controllable. And he thought, height adjustable. And he thought, when I retire, I will look into this. So when he retired in 2009, he started researching and, coming up with different ideas, trying different materials. And in 2014, he had a prototype, and then he had 1 year of testing with musicians around him. And the feedback was so positive that he thought, okay, I might have to start selling this.
So, and you've been going around to different events. I mean, we've seen each other a couple times in the last 2 months. You're at Oberlin at the VSA workshop and installing this in Diana Gannett's bass, and we're here in Lucca right now on the streets chatting, and you're going to be putting it into Gabriele Raggianti's bass tomorrow. And you've installed this in dozens, hundreds of instruments at this point.
Sure. My father's done several hundred installations himself. That's for sure. He's very good at it. He knows what he's doing, and the most important thing, he has a very good ear. Yeah. He has a perfect pitch, and he hears better than the average person, I'd say.
So, I mean, the first thing someone might say if they hear about, they think carbon fiber Soundpost, what? Why would I want to do that? So, what are some of the advantages of doing something like that?
Well, carbon fiber was not the first choice of material. The idea was to have a height adjustable solution, and carbon fiber just ended up to produce a result which, was at least as good as wood. And that's actually why it's made out of carbon fiber right now. I mean, the benefits, a typical reaction from a musician is, wow, my instrument never sounded like this. And, well, that's what you want to hear. I mean, different aspects. Some say, oh, it projects better. Others say, it's even. You know, I had this E string that didn't, work as good as the others, so it evens it out. Others say, my wolf tone got better. And, each instrument is individual. And so when we start with this, installing it, we never know, what's it going to be like. We just ask the musician, so what do you like about your instrument and what do you not like about your instrument? What ideally would be the result of trying this? And so many times we make people happy.
And part of the benefit of this is that you can be so precise in your adjustments. Like if we take a traditional wooden Soundpost, we put that in the instrument, we can move it around to an extent, but if we want to, we have to take it physically out and either shave it down or get a longer one if we want to make adjustments. And the system, the Anima Nova system, you're making these incredibly minute once you get it in there, you can adjust it by 1/10 of a millimeter or something like that, right? When it's installed. 1/100th of a millimeter. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about what's a typical, and you've done this many times, so you and your father have done this many times. What's a typical experiment in terms of that? You take the wooden Soundpost out, you put the carbon fiber in, and then you start with it loose and tighten it up, or what do you typically do?
It's always the same process, basically. Okay. We listen to the instrument as it is with a wooden Soundpost, then we mark the position of the Soundpost, so in case the client does not prefer the outcome, we can put the wooden one back in the same spot. And then we of course we detune the instrument, we take it out, so there's no tension on the top. And then we put in Anima Nova at the position, which I would say the standard position is about 2/3 of a diameter south of the bridge, right in the center of the bridge foot. And we put it in there tensionless, so it just stands in the instrument without falling over. We tune the strings, and then we give the instrument to the musician, listen to it. And from there, we will do, let's say, steps, like we have a little scale on the product. So let's say the first reading is at 1, then we would go to 2, give it to the musician again, listen what happened, maybe go to 3 if we think it's got better but still not good enough. So if we're maybe at 3, and then we hear that the instrument chokes already, so we know, okay, here's the point where there is too much tension. So from that point, we work our way backwards in smaller steps. And then, we're kind of closing in the ideal adjustment. And in the end, when the musician says, I'm happy now, then we say, let's go one line up, one line down, and see if it gives a better result. And we can go back to the original setting and say, okay, if this is your preferred one, then we found it.
Well, it's remarkable what these seemingly minute adjustments can have upon the tone. Like when I was listening back, and I'll hear it tomorrow, I'm sure, on Gabriele's bass too, but when I was listening with Diana Gannett's bass last month, I mean, you'd make these very small adjustments, and you could hear the tone change and the response to the instrument change, and it's like this incredibly precise tone knob in a way. It just gives you so much control over this variable.
Absolutely. It's actually, it was a surprise to my dad as well during the development that when he did, one little line on our scale represents a change of roughly 0.02 millimeters. So that's very little. But a professional double bass player notices that difference. Maybe he doesn't hear a difference, but he feels a difference on the bow. And of course, since you're leaning on the instrument, people tell us I can feel that it resonates differently. So he was surprised that this little change meant so much. He didn't expect that. But as you can see, the tension is very important.
Well, and once this is set up in the instrument, many bass players, maybe most bass players, aren't comfortable setting their own Soundpost. But regardless, once this is set up, is this an adjustment that the player themselves can make in terms of tightening or loosening? Or do people typically go to a luthier to make these minute adjustments? It might be different for everybody, but...
Yeah, it depends on when my father started out with selling the Soundpost, the system, his idea was that the luthiers should have the tools and the musicians should not have the tools. Right. But pretty soon the first double bass player came and said, I'm not going to a luthier for the setup of a Soundpost. I do that myself. And so who are we? So we just thought, oh my God, you have to make the people aware that, there's a danger involved. If you turn too much, then your instrument might get stressed or the top. And so we came up with a solution, and there are some musicians who buy the tools, not a lot. But let's say people who have a lot to do with changing weather or tour a lot, people with removable necks, they will have to do adjustments quite frequently. Others, depending on where you live, if you have a stable climate, California is pretty stable, you don't have to do anything. So there are people who then just, don't get the tools and rely on their luthier. So once a year you have a checkup, or every half a year, then you can do that as well.
And this eliminates that in climates like, for example, like New York or Chicago or other places that have very cold winters and dry winters and then hot, humid summers, that typically they need a summer post and a winter post. And with this setup, they just have the one post.
Yeah.
And they have the different adjustments.
Absolutely. We were in Boston, and one of the players of the Boston Symphony showed us his 5 Soundposts that he puts in one instrument depending on if the northern cold front is prevailing or the southern heat wave. And he says sometimes he has to exchange them on a weekly basis. And of course it depends on the instrument as well. The instruments are more sensitive to that than others. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for those, our invention seems to be a good idea. Or my father's invention. It's not my invention.
Well, we're seeing, many people listening to this probably know Lloyd Goldstein. He has one in his new bass. We know lots of bass players, and more people are using this. And as we've spoken before we recorded, we can talk about this, but really what people want to do is have it in their instrument and experiment in their instrument. And so you're obviously traveling to a lot of events.
Yes, ever since my father doesn't speak English, so I came on board to help him, and so we're trying to get closer to the clients and make Anima Nova available to a lot more people than before. And we're building up a network of partners. That's the ultimate goal, to have luthiers who think that this is a good product and sell it to their clients.
Yeah, and so as you move forward, already some luthiers around the world, the States and abroad, have it available, so you can get a demo of it in your instrument, and that'll probably be more and more common as we go forward.
We hope so.
Yeah, we hope so. Okay. Well, I've been impressed hearing the difference in the basses I've heard, and it seems like a great new offering, and especially bass players. I love that it's the bass players that want the tools, because we're such tinkerers,
I didn't say that.
Maybe more than
no, but one very critical observation, if I may just tell one thing about Anima Nova, is that you adjust it to one player, and you hand the instrument with the bow to another player. And that adjustment does not necessarily have to be the perfect one for the other player, and that's the theory behind it, because each has a different bow arm. So you put different pressures on the instrument, on the strings with your bow arm, and that also matters. So that was for my father also, that also makes a difference. So it's, for him, a kind of a revelation that, tension seems to be the most important aspect of Soundpost setting.
And just being able to have the minute control that you can with this, and that's great. So a player who has a different sort of approach in terms of the bow, you can make that adjustment quickly rather than shaping a new post. And
absolutely,
and with your design, and people should definitely go to the website and check out so they can see what we're talking about here. But it fits very well to the top and the back of the bass. Correct?
Yeah, you don't have to. The luthier does not have to carve the ends anymore. Yeah. They're ball and socket joints that will automatically adapt to the inner contours of the instrument.
Right, which is a wonderful thing, and a big challenge trying to get the traditional post in completely.
It's one of the major challenges, I'd say, to get a good fit.
Well, where can people go to learn more about Anima Nova, Soundpost, and where are you going to be? I mean, people might be listening to this years from now, but people are listening right now. Like, where can people? Well, find
if you haven't heard about it, check out our website. That's www.anima-nova.com. We're going to be in Cremona at the end of September at Mondo Musica, and we're heading towards the USA in November for the VSA convention again.
Great.
So that's the upcoming months.
And hopefully we'll see you at the 2019 ISB convention.
Oh, we have already marked that in our calendar. Yes.
Okay, so if you check it out before if you can, but if not, be sure to hook up with them in Bloomington. So
yeah, Indiana.
Yeah.
Let's see how we get there.
Okay. Well, thanks for chatting.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Pal, thank you for chatting. And folks, like Pal said, check them out online. That is anima-nova.de for more information. That's linked up in the show notes, and it's interesting. I've had some interesting experiences recently, not on my bass, haven't tried it yet, but on others' basses, and I hear differences. I know there's a lot of curiosity around this, so if you're interested, check it out to learn more. Contrabass Conversations is produced by Trevor Jones, Mitch Mooring, Steve Hinchy, and Mike Cooper. Mitch Mooring is making beautiful basses in the Dallas area. Look him up at mitchmooring.com. And thank you also to Krista Copper for cataloging and archiving all of the topics that we talk about. So helpful moving forward. I'm your host, Jason Heath, coming to you from San Francisco, California, and we'll see you again soon for more life on the low end of the spectrum.